The New York Jets had Mike Vrabel in the building today for his first head coaching interview of this coaching cycle. An NFL insider, Peter Schrager, said it is a, quote, huge advantage for the Jets. We'll get into that and much more, all coming up here on a Friday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Hello everybody, and welcome into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk Friday, January 3rd, and our New York Jets head coach candidate Mike Vrabel in the building, a front runner really for this job, at least from what it seems in the fan base. I know a lot of people really wanted the Jets to go ahead and do everything they can to go after Vrabel, so a big day for the Jets. They also officially interviewed Louis Riddick for the GM vacancy last night. We'll get into that and much more all coming up here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Before we do so, everyone smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Appreciate all of your support. And our membership raffle, got to announce it at the top of every single show. Every membership that you guys give gets you a ticket into our raffle. The winner will be drawn at the end of the month. I think we have something like 27 entries through the past 3 shows. So every membership you give gets you a raffle ticket. I have a poll at the top of the chat, and we're going to do 3 prizes per month. It is currently 50-50 between you guys. If you want the grand prize to be signed Jets memorabilia or a Jets merch package, keep voting on that and we'll decide that. But really appreciate all the memberships. Every membership you give gets you a ticket, so keep the memberships flowing. That's the paid way to support the show. The free way that everyone can do is smash that like button and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It helps us just as much. Now let's get right into it. There was a report that came out early this morning from Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic stating the Jets were going to have Mike Vrabel in the building today for a head coaching interview, and they did just that. They hosted Vrabel at the facility today, confirmed by the Jets' official Twitter account. Now, Vrabel's contract with the Browns for a consulting role expired just a few days ago, so now he's free to interview with every single team, and the Jets were the first team on his list. I know a lot of people like Vrabel. I mean, you look at his resume. It's a very, very, very compelling resume. 6 seasons with the Titans, finished with a 54-45 record. He won Coach of the Year in 2021. He led them to a 12-5 record that season, brought them to the AFC Championship game, a huge he's done great things over in Tennessee. I think he really maximized the potential of his roster there. And also, he's a culture guy, and that's what this team needs. He's going to put these players in check. He's going to hold players accountable, and I think this is what this team needs, 1,000%. I mean, you look at what we've had the past few coaches, no accountability whatsoever. You have Jeff Ulbrich going and telling the media Hassan Reddick is one of the most selfless players he's ever coached, yet the guy held out for 8 weeks and hasn't recorded a full sack for the season. I mean, it's an absolute joke what this team has gone through from a coaching perspective, past few coaches. So Vrabel's a no-nonsense guy, and he's a football genius. You have to do everything you can to make Mike Vrabel the head coach of this team. There was no news, really detailing how the interview went, but this was Vrabel's first interview, and, he's going to obviously go ahead and interview with other teams, but you got to hope this interview went well. They could not have hired Vrabel today because you have to interview 2 Rooney Rule candidates for each position. The Jets have only interviewed 1 at each position. That was Louis Riddick for GM and Ron Rivera for head coach. Those are the 2 you need to interview, 4 total, 2 in each role. So the Jets could not have hired Vrabel today, but let's get in really what Peter Schrager said today, how it is, quote, a huge advantage for the Jets that they were the first team that got to speak with Vrabel. He laid out 2 reasons. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the tweet here on the screen. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, before we do so, we got a membership. Our guy Marvelous 33 became a member of the channel. Marvelous, appreciate the support, appreciate you tuning in. You won in on the raffle. That is a raffle ticket for you. If you guys want in on the raffle, you can give memberships or become a member yourself for less than a cup of coffee a month, and it really goes a long way. I appreciate all of your support. So here is the tweet from NFL Insider. Let me get that back up. Excuse me. Peter Schrager. Here it is. So Schrager said 2 more thoughts on the Jets interview, 2 more thoughts on Vrabel interviewing with the Jets today. One out of two. The Jets are the first to the table to interview Vrabel. Important. Bears and Saints could have this week as well. Jets had their ducks in orders and can make their first impression if he's their number one option. I'm really interested to see what the Jets had to say to Vrabel overall today, because I think the message should have been, hey, we want you. We want you here. I know we can't hire you, but let's kind of get a verbal agreement in place. Let's find out the GM that you want. I doubt that Vrabel would agree to anything this early, because this is the first team he's interviewing with. He's obviously going to go out and want to interview for the Bears job. He's going to want to go out, interview for the Saints job, the Patriots job, if that opens up. I think that's the most appealing job on the market. The Jaguars job is another interesting one. So he's going to want to go out for sure and test the market, see his other options. But that is one of the reasons Peter Schrager thinks the Jets meeting with Vrabel first was crucial. Let's see his second reasoning. Here it is. To the Jets interviewing Vrabel in New Jersey with players and staff still there and not in Palm Beach, parentheses, where I imagine other interviews will take place, is important too. Let him see the facility, feel the building, get a taste, all this before interviewing elsewhere. Now, he mentions Palm Beach there because that's Woody Johnson's home. And, they've said over the past few coaching cycles that Woody Johnson sometimes conducts the coaching and general manager interviews at his home in Palm Beach. And I think it's a really good point from Schrager. You look at the Jets facility. I don't know how many of you have been there. This summer was my first time going to the Jets facility, and it's absolutely beautiful. You could bash Woody Johnson, you could bash the Jets for so many different things, but not the facility. The facility is absolutely beautiful. So he got to see the facility, got to see the coaching staff there, got to see some of the players. I think that's positive for sure. So Vrabel met with the team today, and I hope it went well. I really, really do. I think Vrabel is the clear-cut number one option for the job this offseason. And someone else who said he expects to interview the job today, to interview for the job next week during his media availability today. Guys, you won't even guess who it was. Guess who it is. I know it's just an interview, but I mean, come on. What are we doing here? Let me go ahead and pull this up on the screen for you guys who didn't see. Yep. Jets interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich says he expects to get a chance next week to interview for the head coaching job. Now, again, this is just an interview. We can't really make much of it, but I don't the way things have panned out, I don't even think Ulbrich deserves an interview. And as for where he stands on my list for head coaches, he actually might be dead last among any coordinator who's possibly available for the job. Anthony Weaver, the Dolphins defensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, he might be dead. Ulbrich might be dead last on my list. I'm not overreacting. I'd take Rex Ryan over him. I'd take Clint Kubiak, Anthony Weaver, all those guys who tend to be at the bottom of people's lists. I'd take them all before I bring Jeff Ulbrich back. I can't even fathom why they would give him an interview. Again, it's just an interview, but still, it just annoys me. It really does. I cannot stand even just giving him an interview. I don't know. It just annoys me so much that they're giving this guy a chance to plead his case why he deserves to have the job for a full season next year. I can't. I can't. Just what a joke. And then imagine the Jets give Jeff Ulbrich the head coaching job. Imagine. I mean, the chances are probably less than 1%, but still. That would be like the most Jet thing to do. It really would. Giving Jeff, the interim head coach, the job, who's won 2 games. Absolute joke. Absolute joke. Everyone smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Appreciate all of your support here on the show. You want to get in on the membership raffle. Give some memberships. 1 ticket per membership you give. We already have 1 membership today, and that's from our guy Marvelous33. Appreciate all of your support. Let's keep the questions coming in the chat. We're going to get into some more news. I have some mailbag questions from yesterday that I put out I put out in a tweet, and some listeners responded with mailbag questions. So we're going to get into that. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. And if you want to come on the air and voice your opinion on the state of the New York Jets, just click the pinned comment at the top of the chat, and we will bring you up here on the screen. Our guy Alan tuning in. Alan, I appreciate the support. Appreciate you tuning in. Jay Lepselter, Jay, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate all of your support. Wild Wave, Connor, my guy. Wild Wave, good to see you in the chat. Appreciate you. Alan, wake me up when Robert Kraft fires Gerard Mayo, and then I'll believe in the Vrabel to Jets talk. Yeah, I think if that job opens up, it is by far the most appealing job on the market. You have over $100 million in cap room. You have a young quarterback in Drake May. You have a number 1 or number 2 overall draft pick. So I think if that job opens up, and then Vrabel has the history with the Pats too, obviously. I think that would be Vrabel's number 1 job. And I think there's also a chance he would put Vegas over the Jets if they fall in position to draft a Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders. So I think the Jets are either second or third on his list, depending on if the Pats job opens up or not. Our guy Malcolm Harper tuning in. I'm going to be pounding the table throughout the offseason. Vrabel as head coach and Dimitroff as the general manager. Hopefully Woody does not screw it up. Malcolm, that's what I've been saying. Ideally, I want Vrabel to be the head coach, Dimitroff general manager, Josh McCown offensive coordinator, Ron Rivera defensive coordinator. That's my ideal plan. Maybe Dimitroff was a scout in New England while Vrabel was a player. So it's not necessarily a direct connection, but they were part of the Patriots organization at the same time for a few years. So, I would absolutely love that. What I think, I'm going to get more into my realistic plan a little later, but what I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be Aaron Glenn, head coach, Ray Agnew, GM, OC, Tanner Engstrand, DC, Kelvin Shepard. I think ultimately that's what it shakes out to be. For sure. Oh, one more thing I wanted to pull up. I have a comment from Wild Wave. Reminds me here perfectly. If what Zach says is true, then New England is heavily favored for Vrabel if they move on. Here's the list I was meaning to pull up for you guys from the Athletics, Zach Rosenblatt, who spoke to Mike Vrabel. Here it is. Stand by. Let's pull it up. Boom. All right. Mike Vrabel told me the 3 things he's looking for in his next head coaching job: clear and open communication with the ownership. Based on reports that have come out, that's a 0 out of 1 for the Jets. Let's see what the second one is. Collaboration, head coach, GM with owner, etc. 0 for 2 for the Jets. And quarterback, that's 0 for 3. So if that's truly his wish list, the Jets are 0 for 3 there in every single category. I'd say the Patriots are 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 on that list. Jets are 0 for 3, 1,000%. The Patriots are 2 or 3 out of 3. So if that list, like Wildwave said, if that list is true, Mike Vrabel is not coming here. Not coming here. No way, Jose. If that list is accurate, the Jets do not have any of those 3 things. Clear and open communication with ownership. No. Collaboration with head coach, GM, and ownership. No, and we don't have a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback, and if Mike Vrabel is going to be the head coach of this team, I think there's a chance that he might bring Rodgers back based on his, prior relationship with him, and I don't want that to be the case. I will do anything for Rodgers not to come back to this team next season. Anything. BC, good to see you in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in. Jets can interview Middleton for the Rooney Rule. Yeah, I'm sure they can, because they have to interview 2 head coach candidates of minority and 2 general manager candidates of minority. For GM minority, they already interviewed Louis Riddick, and for head coach minority, they interviewed Ron Rivera. I mean, I guess they can technically do that, but that's they'll catch so much smoke in the media if they did that. So I don't think it's going to be Middleton. 2 minorities are Glenn and Flores, who I expect them to interview anyways, and if they get one of them is going to get the bye in the first round of the playoffs, and then the Jets can request. So let's say Minnesota gets the bye. The Jets can request to interview Flores, or Detroit gets the bye. The Jets can request to interview Glenn. So, I'm hoping we can interview one of them before the season ends, ideally. Teresa, appreciate you tuning in. Vrabel or Aaron Glenn? Vrabel all day, Teresa. I have Aaron Glenn third on my list, just behind Mike Vrabel and Brian Flores. So he's third on my list, and I think if the Jets are going to go with the first-timer, he is the Jets' best option this season. Our guy PB tuning in. Connor, if it's not Vrabel, who's your number 2 for you for head coach? I just answered this, but it's going to be Brian Flores. Another guy with head coaching experience, and he hates the Dolphins like all of us Jet fans do. He's a softer-spoken head coach, but he's going to hold guys accountable. That's what he's going to do. I understand why some people might want to avoid him based on the reports from, a friction standpoint over in Miami, but I think he's the Jets' second best option as a retread guy for sure. So Mike Vrabel number 1, Brian Flores number 2 for me. Yeah, I heard Jake talking about this earlier today. Jay, great point from you. Vrabel interviews the Jets, not the other way around. I think he is going to have a strong wish list of what he wants, and rightfully so. I'm not saying he's the best head coach in the world, but he's the best head coach candidate on the market right now, For sure. Oh, whoa, we got a super chat. So that's going to go ahead and cut the line. This is equal to 1 channel membership. So that's a raffle ticket for you. Dan, the Jets fan, appreciate all of your support. Zerline snubbed of Curtis Martin Award. Yep, team MVP today went to Jamie and Sherwood, not Greg Zerline. Not Greg Zerline, who was active last week, but now goes back to IR after they were scared to put him out on the field. Not Greg Zerline. Dan, appreciate your support, and I appreciate the super chat. That is 1 raffle ticket for you. If you guys want to be entered in our raffle, we're going to do it every single month. Well, first vote on the top of the poll what you want the grand prize to be. There's going to be 3 prizes each month, and then every membership you gift gets you an entry. So gift memberships, super chats, it really means a lot to both me and the channel. And every membership you guys gift, I will be matching. So I think I owe 15 memberships from the past 3 shows. So we're going to do that at the end of today's show. I'm going to gift the 15 memberships. And when I gift them from a matching standpoint, whoever gets the memberships gets the raffle tickets instead of myself, because that wouldn't make sense. That would not make sense whatsoever. Let's see. So I was just talking about, Wild Wave, you got to hope Detroit wins so Glenn can have an interview at the bye. He's my number 2. They'll be able to interview either Glenn or Flores at the bye, which is good. You'll be able to interview one of them. Jay, below Rex on your list. I would take Rex Ryan over Jeff Ulbrich. Yes. I know there are so many cons with Rex. I think it's absolutely laughable that they're considering hiring him, but I would take him over Jeff Ulbrich any day of the week. Brian Glick, appreciate you tuning in. So you're telling me there's a chance. Yes, there's a chance the Jets go ahead and somehow hire Mike Vrabel here. There is a chance. Let's see. Sour Diesel. Dude, you're too young to endure this hell of a franchise. Play outside with peace and love. Sour Diesel, I appreciate you tuning in. Yep, I haven't seen a playoff game in my life. Have not seen a playoff game in my life. So tough. Very, very tough. So, yep. Oh, we got 5 new memberships coming by way of our guy, DB94. DB, appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate the memberships. Let's give him a Jets cheer. Jets. There we go. Our Broncos fan goes ahead and gives 5 memberships, DB94. Appreciate all of your support. Yep, now I owe 20 memberships to you guys in the chat. I'm going to do all of that stuff at the end of the show. You are now in the lead. I think you have 15 raffle tickets. You're in the lead for our raffle at the end of the month. Keep the memberships coming. It really means a lot. And Sour Diesel says, as a lifelong Jet fan, respect the grind, man. Sour Diesel, appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate all of your support here on the show. Keep your questions, comments, super chats, memberships coming in. I'm going to go ahead and answer the mailbag questions that came way of yesterday. If you hear your name called, you are now a member from DB94. Philip Hannon, David Hall Jr., Jay Lepselter, Michael Pitnium, and R&R. You are all members. Say special thanks to DB94 in the chat. Appreciate all the support. Like I said, vote at the poll on the top for what you think our grand prize should be at the end of the month. Signed Jets memorabilia is currently leading with 67% of your votes. Keep your comments coming in. I'm going to go ahead and answer these mailbag questions. Call one of the show. Pinned comment in the chat. Let's go ahead. Let's go. Where do we want to start? We'll start with Ken Carsa, who submitted his question via Twitter. Kenny says, should the Jets take Kyle McCord if available in round 2? Kyle McCord, he is the quarterback for Syracuse right now, and McCord's had a great season. Don't get me wrong. He's really upped his draft stock these past few games. I think second round's a bit of a stretch for him. I'll tell you what, I did some scouting reports on the quarterbacks a few days ago. I watched a lot of their film. So I'll tell you what I have on McCord. Let's see. Where is McCord? I actually don't know if I did McCord. Let me see. Did I hit McCord yet? I don't think I hit McCord. I watched a few of his games, but I didn't have enough film on him to do a full scouting report yet. So what I've seen from him, I've watched a few of his games on TV this season. I haven't really dig too deep into the film yet. From what I'm hearing and what I've seen in a smaller sample size, I think second round might be a bit of a stretch. I think you're looking at it in third or fourth round for a guy like McCord. Someone I would not mind taking in the second round whatsoever after what he just put on display yesterday and what he's put on display really all season long is Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. I think he would be a really, really solid option for the Jets. Even second round, I see a guy like Dart going towards the end of the second round. And I think I did a report on him. I said his ceiling really is a top 10, top 5 starter in this league. I think he's a really, really high ceiling in this league. At the absolute latest, I think he will be drafted at the top of the third round. The Jets pick is, I think it's 38th overall. So their second round pick is close to the top of the order. So if I suspect Dart will make it out of the first round. And if you're going to take a quarterback in round 2, I think Dart's a good option. Jalen Milroe, who I think is a developmental project, still has a ton of upside and is a fine option for the Jets. I would not mind that if they want to go ahead and take him early in the second round. But right now, Dart is probably at the top of my list. If you want to go ahead, take a quarterback in the second round. Ken, appreciate the question. Let's keep it going. Greg Scott submitted his questions via Twitter. Thoughts on a complete teardown rebuild? Trade all pieces for draft capital versus a rebuild around our stars to get paid. Good question here from Greg. I'm not going full rebuild. I'm not going full retool yet based on what we've seen from this team. You look at the record right now. Yes, they're 4-11. It's not ideal. What they've done it's been an awful season. However, you look at how they've lost games. Poor coaching is really one of the main reasons this team is not competing for a playoff spot next week. See, there's still talent. I'm not all for blowing it up and completely rebuilding yet. There's talent. You have Garrett Wilson, who you're about to pick up a 5th-year option on. You have Breece Hall, have Sauce Gardner, who I have faith in can bounce back. You get a Justin Fields in here, some competent quarterback play. Like, this team is not done. Like, they have potential to win 10 to 11 games next year. They really do. Based on the talent, and they've lost games from coaching all season long. You add a few pieces on the defensive side of the ball. You bring in a wide receiver 2 for next season, and boom, this team's in playoff contention. They are. So never say never. Like, you get a Mike Vrabel in here, you add a few defensive pieces, and this team's competing for a playoff spot next season because they've lost games this year purely on coaching. So that's where I stand. I'm not for completely rebuilding and trading everyone right now. I don't think we've made it that far yet. There's still so much talent on this team. So I'm not doing that yet. Appreciate your question, Greg. And wow, we got another 5 memberships from our guy Rick Kent tuning in. We live in a Jets chat. Jets. Rick, that is 5 raffle tickets for you. That really means a lot. I appreciate you going ahead and gifting some memberships. If you hear your name called, you are now a member. Our guy BC is a member. Monkey Man Stan, Joseph Rivera, Jameel Haywood, and Rick gifted himself as he threw in the chat, and we saw there. Yeah, that would happen to who'd that happen to? That happened to DB the other day, I think. Yeah, DB gifted membership to himself, which is pretty wild. Now YouTube's starting to do that. So Rick, I really appreciate it. That is 5 tickets for you. If you keep every membership that you guys give, you get a ticket into our raffle at the end of the month. Vote at the top of the chat for what you'd prefer the grand prize to be, whether it's signed Jets memorabilia or a Jets merch package. Signed Jets memorabilia is currently leading with 61% of you saying that you want that to be the grand prize. Let's keep it going with your mailbag questions. Our guy Dylan Terraman of Jets Nation goes in and submits his question via Twitter. What is the very first question you'd ask a GM candidate if you were interviewing them for the Jets job? Another great question here from our guy DT. First question I would ask is, you've seen what has been the problem over, the past few GMs that we've had. Offensive stability not being, the offensive line is built now. Offensive stability has been the main issue. What is your plan at the quarterback position is my first question to the general manager candidate, especially if I'm Woody Johnson, because you know how strong Woody Johnson feels. And I personally don't want Aaron Rodgers to come back next season, but I think it should be up to the new regime. I really do. I think the new regime should be able to choose if they want to have Aaron Rodgers on this team next year or they want to, go ahead and get a bridge option in Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor. I think that should be up to the new regime. So you're sitting down with a GM candidate. The first question is, what is your plan for the quarterback position next year? What is it? Do you want to keep Aaron Rodgers? Why? Do you want Tyrod Taylor? Why? Do you want Justin Fields? Why? So you have to ask, what is your plan at the quarterback position next season? How do you get this team back into the playoffs? That's the first question to a GM candidate. If I'm Rick Spielman, Mike Tannenbaum, or Woody Johnson. Great question by DT. Let's keep it going. Our fellow Jets content creator, Boy Green, comes in, submits his question via Twitter. Who is your dream head coach, GM, quarterback for 2025? Great question, BG. Head coach Mike Vrabel pretty much laid it out. You want to hear why? If you're just tuning in, scroll back to the beginning of the show. I pretty much laid everything out why I want Vrabel. He's going to hold guys accountable. He's a culture guy, head coach experience. He's a great football mind overall. He's a football guy. I mean, he has a winning record over 6 seasons with the Titans. Coach of the year, brought a team to the AFC Championship game. Clear-cut best option for the Jets at the head coach job. General manager, Thomas Dimitroff, 14 years of general manager experience with the Atlanta Falcons. He's drafted 11 Pro Bowlers over his tenure, brought a team to the Super Bowl, finished his run with the Falcons, with a winning record. I think Dimitroff is a really compelling candidate for the general manager job, and the Jets already interviewed him because he doesn't have a job right now. His tenure ended with the Falcons in 2020, and he runs an analytics site right now called Sumer Sports, which a lot of NFL teams rely on, which is something I think is a really, really solid thing to go ahead and put on his resume, just because, he's been out of the league since 2020, but he's still staying analytical because 2020, he was fired after 2020. As crazy as it sounds, it's only 5 years ago. Still, the league has changed from a front office perspective over the past 5 years. The analytics really started to, you really started to get deep into analytics starting in 2018, 2019. Now, basically everything is relied on via analytics. So the fact that he's still staying analytical is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. And all he's done as a GM, drafting 11 Pro Bowlers, taking a team to the Super Bowl, drafted a franchise quarterback in Matt Ryan, drafted Julio Jones in the first round. The only thing that was a little dicey with him is he kind of botched some of his rookies' contracts. The only one thing you can kind of knock him for is what he did with the cap, but drafts are great. Free agent signings were great. Trades were great. His overall record was great. His ability to hire coaches. I mean, some of the coaches he hired on that staff are head coaches right now in Mike McDaniel, Mike LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Raheem Morris. They hired Dan Quinn as head coach. Those are 5 guys he hired that are currently head coaches in this league. So he did a great job in basically every single aspect. So Thomas Dimitroff, GM, Mike Vrabel, head coach. Over to the quarterback position. This is a tough one. I'm moving on from Aaron Rodgers no matter what. The question for me, the main question right now is, do you want to go with Tyrod Taylor or do you want to go with Justin Fields? Tyrod's under contract next season, so he would make more sense from a financial standpoint. And then Justin Fields, I think, is the best option from a statistical standpoint. He's shown he's able to win games 4-2 and 6 starts with the Steelers this season. He's mobile, and I think he's the most upside out of any options. I'm going to go ahead and say Tyrod's going to be on the roster no matter what. So Fields starting quarterback, Tyrod Taylor backup. I think that's my ideal scenario for the quarterback position next year. So Mike Vrabel, head coach, Thomas Dimitroff, GM, Tyrod Taylor, and Justin Fields in the quarterback room. MH Jets fan who submits his question via Twitter. Bold prediction, Connor. Who's the new general manager, head coach, and quarterback for the 2025 Jets? You want me to go bold here? My bold prediction, general manager, bold is interesting because there's like a realistic one that I don't want. I'll go with that one. Ray Agnew. He's a name we've heard, so it's not necessarily like a really, really bold option, but someone we've heard. He is a tie to the Jets. His son is a pro scout currently in his 8th year, so I could see him being the general manager, head coach. I'll go Cliff Kingsbury, kind of fit that bold scenario. Has a history, was the backup quarterback for the Jets for 1 season. He was a front runner for the job in 2019. His head coaching experience, has done a ton of work with quarterbacks. So I'll go Kingsbury head coach, Agnew GM, quarterback. If we want to go bold, I'll go Jacoby Brissett. I'll throw a bold one there. I wouldn't completely rule him out. He's a free agent. If he shakes free, it can be an interesting option. Pair him with Tyrod Taylor. That's kind of my bold prediction there. MH Jets fan, appreciate the question. 2 more questions from our mailbag before we get back to the chat. Drop your thoughts on the mailbag. I want to try to make this a weekly thing. I think it could be something that fun that we'll be able to mix in the show every day. So let me know what your thoughts are here on the mailbag. Then we'll get back to you guys in the chat via Discord. Our guy Spencer Harris comments, who are your offense, defense, and special teams player of the season and why? Great question, Spencer. Offense, I'm going to go Garrett Wilson, third year in a row. Over his whole career, he's played with 8 different quarterbacks. He's been a quarterback-proof receiver, 3 seasons in the league, 3 1,000-yard years. He's my offensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year, someone who won the team MVP today, Jamien Sherwood. He's among top of the league in tackles this year. He took a huge leap, and he's really stepped in as kind of a leader on the defensive side of the ball. I really like how the Jets have been able to develop talent at the linebacker position, whether it's Quincy Williams or now Jamien Sherwood. So I'll go Jamien Sherwood for the defensive side of the ball. Special teams is a tough one. Special teams really, really, really has not been, it hasn't been great this season. I'm going to go out of the box here. I'm going to go, he only played 2 games for the Jets, but I think he made the most impact overall. I'll go Kene Nwangwu. He played 2 games, broke his hand after that, but I'm gonna remember him for the Seahawks game, housing a kick return, and then he forced a fumble that same game. So I'm gonna go Kene Nwangwu, Special Teams Player of the Year. Jamie Sherwood, Defensive Player of the Year, and Garrett Wilson, Offensive Player of the Year. Appreciate the support. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Time to get back into the chat. Remember, every membership you gift is a raffle ticket. I owe 25 memberships it is at the end of the show, so we'll take care of that. But every memberships that you guys gift, I'll match. And every 10 memberships that one person gifts in a show, you get a free item from the merch store. Appreciate all of your support. Where did we leave off? Here we go. Here we are. Wild Wave. You think the Jets have an idea of what GM they want since all these head coach interviews? I'll be happy with Thomas Dimitroff. I mean, Dimitroff, Ray Agnew, John Dorsey. I expect those 3 guys to really be front runners for the job. I think a lot of it, they've interviewed 2 head coach candidates. I think Ron Rivera, basically, they kind of interviewed him to check him off the list from a Rooney Rule perspective. I think one of the main questions they asked Vrabel is, or what they really told him is, we want you. I think you are one of our top options. What GM do you want to get here in the building? Who do you want? Because he said Rich Cimini reported it, Colin Cowherd reported. He said he would take the Jets job if he approved of the GM hire. So I think one of the questions from Woody Johnson, Mike Tannenbaum, Rick Spielman was what GM candidates, who are guys you would be willing to work with? Who? Because I think that's something that, I led to the list. Collaborative work with GM, head coach, and owner. He's going to want stability at the quarterback position. Go ahead and ask him, what GM would you be willing to work with? So I think they have some sort of idea. I think it would be Dimitroff, Agnew, and Dorsey are probably the 3 guys at the top of the list. Wow, before we get back to the rest of your questions, 10 memberships from our guy Mike D's Nuts tuning in. Mike, that is a free item from our merch store. Message me on Discord. We'll get that free merch item to you. Wow, I appreciate all of the support. And that is 10 raffle tickets for you. Those 10 memberships went to Mr. Roberts, Morning Woody, a homeless Dorito JT, Mr. Mick Money, Dixon, yes, Cuckoo Lake Jet Fan, BP York, Snowball, Clancy, NY Jets. You are all members over here on the NY Flight Jets Talk YouTube channel. Mike D's Nuts, that means a lot. I appreciate all of your support. Go ahead and hit me up here over on Discord, and we'll get that free merch item to you. That means a lot. Appreciate all of your support here on the show. Let's get back to your questions in the chat. Carly Fleischer is tuning in. Carly, appreciate the support. I appreciate you tuning in. You do great merch work too. Obviously helping Jake over there on the Jake Asman Show merch store. Appreciate all of your support here on the show. Teresa, it doesn't look like the Jets are. It doesn't look like the Jets are what Vrabel is looking for to coach. Thoughts? I mean, yeah, I think they're pretty much 0 for 3 in that box. Those on that wish list. I mean, kind of communication between the owner and GM and head coach, not really. Communication between the general manager and owner, not really. And there's no stability at the quarterback position. I think the Patriots pretty much checked all 3 of those boxes, or 2 out of those 3 boxes. So if that Patriot job opens up, I think it's a real threat. But as of now, I think the Raiders are a threat too. I'd say the Jets ultimately finish out as 2nd or 3rd on Vrabel's list over there for sure. Let's see, DB94. Will the Jets ever find a dependable kicker? Another position to keep in mind this offseason. Now, let me look. I know there's some kickers available. I heard Jason Myers' name come around. And they don't have Anders Carlson anymore. They really don't have a true kicker on the roster. Greg Joseph is kicking. Maybe he shows something promising this week, and you make him your kicker next season. I mean, let me check Spot Rack to see the kickers for next season. It's not loading right now. I'm sure there's some free agent. I think Jason Myers is one I've heard the past few. So Jason Myers, Greg Joseph, those are maybe 2 of the guys you can aim to target this offseason. But under any circumstance, Greg Zuerlein does not deserve to come back next season for sure. I think and it's so funny because Zuerlein had such a great year last year, and you look what he did now, blowing several games this season. So you have to look for someone this offseason under any circumstance. Zuerlein is not able to come back. I mean, your team is struggling when you're not able to do the simple things like kick the ball through the post. So you gotta. I think they move on from Morstead too. They could save some money from cutting him. He hasn't been a liability, but he hasn't had an incredible season. Rigoberto Sanchez, the Colts punter, is a free agent. He's an interesting name to watch. So I think they pretty much revamped the special teams unit by cutting Zuerlein and cutting Morstead. I think those 2 guys are those two guys are done. And wow, another 5 memberships. It is raining channel memberships here. Those 5 memberships from our guy Chris J went to Jared B. Jenner G, our guy Jake Asman, Jay Graves, and Jimbo. Chris, that means a lot. Appreciate your 5 channel memberships. That's up to 6 raffle tickets for you now, because you got 1 raffle ticket yesterday. Now you dropped 5 memberships, so that's 6. So wow, I owe 25, 35. So I owe 40 channel memberships. Wow. I'm gonna owe you guys some memberships here for sure, but I appreciate all of that. Those memberships will be gifted at the end of the show. Let's go back to all of your comments here. And wow, before we do so, I can't even get back to your comments. Rick Kent again with 5 memberships. Rick, that's a free item for you from the merch store. Hit me up. I think we've DM'd before on Instagram, so DM me on Instagram. We'll get you that free merch item. 5 more raffle tickets for you. Wow, it's raining channel memberships. This really means a lot, guys. Appreciate all the support. Those 5 memberships went to Luis Rivas, Jonathan Alvarez, Ed Vargas, JT, and Hennessy Heisman. You are all members. Rick Kent, that means a lot. I appreciate all of your support here on this show. Wow, so what is that now? 50 memberships. I owe you guys 50 channel memberships. I'm going to owe you guys. I appreciate all of your support here in the chat. It means a lot. 50 memberships in one show. I think this is the most I think this is the most memberships we've gotten in one show. So it means a lot. I appreciate all of your support. Brian Glick, good take, Connor. More than half of the 22 starters for 2025 are on the team, likely 13 to 15 players ready to go and under contract. Yeah, I think I break it down kind of position by position here. I think the whole safety room is gone. I think they're going to completely revamp the safety room. I think there's going to be a lot of turnover on the defensive side of the ball, some moving pieces on the offensive side of the ball. I think once Rodgers retires or he's cut or whatever, I think they're going to cut Devontae with a post-June 1 designation, saving $35 million in cap room. So that can open up an opportunity for a lot of different moves, or they can even potentially trade Devontae. I'd prefer trading him and just open up that much cap room. That's what I'd prefer to do most. So I think Rodgers ultimately gets cut, and I think you cut Devontae with a post-June 1 designation, save over $35 million in cap room. So again, I think there's going to be a lot of turnover on the defensive side of the ball. Reddick's a free agent. He's going to, you got to get him out of the door right away. And I think there's going to be a few moving pieces on the offensive side of the ball. A few. See, we got a super chat coming in from our guy, Mr. McMoney, $5. I appreciate all his super chats here on the show. Keep doing your thing, Connor. Great work as always, brother. Mr. McMoney, appreciate that. So 5, so you'll get 2 raffle tickets. $5 super chats worth 2 memberships, so 2 raffle tickets for you, and that means a lot. I appreciate all of your support here on the show. An epic day from a donation standpoint. Based on the donations, how much you guys have supported me, how many people are watching the show right now, you wouldn't think this team is limping to the finish line. So it really means a lot that you guys have still stuck with me. I can't thank you enough, guys, for all of your support on the show. I can. And it's so funny because our views go up. You guys like to tune in more when they lose. Coming off a loss, my views improve than when we're coming off a win. It's funny, but I appreciate you guys. Your support is unwavering, and it really means a lot. Barney Miller tuning in. Appreciate you. Connor, you gonna buy Vrabel a sandwich? No. I'm not taking a page out of NYJ Matt's book. I'm not doing that today. So I appreciate you tuning in, but no breakfast sandwich for Mike Vrabel today. DB, any chance the Jets cut bait out of the blue with Rodgers and draft another young quarterback? I don't think he's coming back next season, so I think they're going to cut him and just eat all $49 million next season, which I think is the right move. For drafting a quarterback, I could see them going after a Jackson Dart, but if whoever they draft, I don't want him to start next season. I want him to sit behind a Justin Fields, a Tyrod Taylor. I think there has to be some sort of bridge option next year. I don't want Rodgers starting, and I don't want a rookie starting. Those are my 2 main things. I don't want Rodgers starting. I don't want a rookie starting. Those are my 2 main selling points. And Mike D's Nuts comes in with his 3-month member super chat. Connor, you deserve it, buddy. Awesome work. And Mike D's Nuts means a lot. You've been a supporter of me for a long time. I really do appreciate all of your support, and I appreciate 10 memberships that you went ahead and gifted. That means a lot. Appreciate all of your support. Let's get back to your questions. Where were we? Let's see. Yeah, we answered this question from our guy DB. Brian, high chance the team parts ways. Excuse me, with about 8 and 17. Yeah, I think both those guys are out the door right when the season ends for sure. I don't see them sticking around much longer. G3, appreciate you tuning in. I think we should cut Rodgers, start Tyrod, draft a young quarterback to room. I'm right with you there. I either want Tyrod Taylor or Justin Fields to be the starting quarterback on this team next season. I think those are the two best options. And then if you draft I think they should carry 4 quarterbacks on this team's roster next year, 4 or 3, because the way I could see them doing 3 is you start Tyrod and then you have the rookie waiting to back him up. And Tyrod normally I can't trust Tyrod as much as I love him. I can't trust him to play all 17 games. So there would be a shot that the rookie would have to play a few games. So I think what they would do if they were to carry 3 quarterbacks, what they could do is start Tyrod, draft the Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, have him sit there, and then Jordan Travis is going to be the third stringer for his first fully healthy season. Or what you could do is not draft anyone, sign Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, or Jacoby Brissett, and then you have one of those guys battle it out with Tyrod, and then one of those 2 guys are the backup, and then you have Travis as the third string. I think they're going to carry 3 or 4 quarterbacks next season. That's what I think is going to happen. DB, the decision is being portrayed as a mutual and sentimental, but the Jets have to be hungry for wins in the future. Yeah. I don't think I think you're referring to Aaron Rodgers here. I don't think Aaron Rodgers gives this chance a better chance. I don't think Aaron Rodgers gives this team a better chance to win next year over anyone. I think Tyrod Taylor gives the Jets a better chance to win than Aaron Rodgers does at this point in their career. I think that's what it is. Taking care of business. Fields isn't coming to back up Tyrod. Rodgers would have to restructure next year, and his contract would be less than Fields. What I think would happen here is what the Jets would do is Fields would ultimately get the starting job. Tyrod would back up, and then you just move on from Rodgers and have Travis waiting in the rafters as the third string. I think that's what would happen if you decided to land Fields. Monkey Man Stan, appreciate you tuning in. I think we'll trade Lazard or cut him. I think you cut him. Immediately you lose only a couple $100,000. So I think cutting him right now after what you signed him to is the perfect decision. I think that is the right decision just to cut Lazard at the end of the year. I mean, 4 years, $44 million. That might go down as one of the worst, not a great contract. It certainly wasn't great. It could arguably go down as one of the worst in Jets history. 4 years, $44 million for a receiver like that who, basically had one of his worst career year last year. Comes in, he was okay before he got injured, and then he returns to his same old woes. He's a higher drop rate this year than he did last season, and his drop rate last year already led the league. So yeah, I think you cut him at the end of the season for sure. Brian Glick, he's also on the cheap, so if he wins a backup DE role, I would be okay with number 72 sticking around one more year. I think you have to move on from Clemens. I think the fan base would absolutely riot if you keep Clemens next year. What he's put on tape is absolutely horrific, disgusting. I don't think you can bring back Clemens next season. I don't. Yeah, you think Lazard's going to be cut? I agree. Taking care of business. The team had the best receiving group in the league with Williams still top 5. Anyone should do good here. The team was a complete disorder since the beginning. Best defense last year, best receiving group. I don't know if they had the best receiving core in the league. I think you could argue that. I mean, there's a case to be made at the start of the year, signing Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, coming off 2 straight 1,000-yard years. I don't think they had the best in the league. I thought they had a top unit. I mean, the defense, again, I don't know if it was the best last year, but certainly at the top of the league. There's no excuse for what happened this year. Basically, kicking and coaching. Because penalties fall under the category of coaching. Kicking and coaching are the 2 reasons this team is 4 wins as we enter Week 18. Solely the reason this team is 4 wins as we enter Week 18, for sure. Tyrod, Brian Glick, if Tyrod is a planned starter, you might ask for a raise to come back again. Maybe you restructure his deal, give him a couple more million, maybe. I think he's what? Let's see what Tyrod. I think he's 2 for 6. Tyrod Taylor. I think he's on 2 years, $12 million. Let me check that. 2 years, $12 million with the Jets. $8.5 million are guaranteed. So he's about to enter his second season with the Jets. He might ask for a raise. That's a good point, but I'd be willing to up a few million, put a few million on his contract because he would be stepping into a starting role. I still think Fields, from a statistical standpoint, is their best option, and from a financial standpoint, Tyrod is probably their best option. DB mailbag is a good idea, no specific topic, and you don't have to be present. Your questions are answered. Good to hear. I appreciate that, DB. Yeah, we're going to try to do the mailbags once a week here. Once a week here, for sure. Where are we? Any more questions? I don't really see any more questions left in the chat. Get your final thoughts in here. Oh, here we go. Here's a fun one. Swamp Ranger Connor, what games do you play on the PS5 back there? So yeah, it depends. Like, I'm normally getting phases for like a month or two with a certain game. Right now, I'm kind of in my Madden phase, which I'm in every year. So I play Madden a lot. I also play Fortnite a fine amount. I'm not a big Call of Duty guy. Play Madden, Fortnite, MLB The Show. Play those games, mostly sports games. Only non-sports like Battle Royale type game I play is Fortnite. That's where I stand. Let's see. Jay, Lazard, Reddick, Clemens gone. Yeah, Reddick's a free agent, so he's out the door. Clemens will be cut, and Lazard will be cut. I think all three of those guys are gone. All right, here we go, Wild Wave. If we cut Rodgers post-June 1, what are the cap ramifications? How much are we splitting the bill? So if you cut Rodgers with a post-June 1 designation, you're going to owe him basically, you could spread out the $49 million. You're going to owe him $14 million in 2025 and $35 in 2026. Personally, I think it's the best, and I think it's in the Jets' best interest to just go ahead and cut him with a pre-June 1 designation and eat all $49 million next season. I think it's going to get him out of the deal as quick as possible, and I think that's exactly what this team needs. Just call it a bad move and boom, get out. Do your best, because I don't want money really lingering into 2026 or 2027. I think that's a bad scenario. Jay, any thoughts about Jordan Travis? I've pretty much made my stance clear. I think fans are kind of overrating Jordan Travis to a bit of an extent. I think the injury that he is coming off of with that gruesome leg injury he suffered back in November at FSU, I think there is a solid chance he does not play an NFL snap. So I think what we need to kind of look at a guy like Jordan Travis, we have to kind of say, hey, anything we get out of this guy is a bonus. He's a third-string guy we selected in the 5th round of the draft who's coming off a broken leg. I don't think we can rely on him for anything, and you just have to look at every single thing you get from him as a bonus. I do. Who knows? Maybe you give him a shot in training camp in the preseason and he impresses. I think that's a great scenario. Mercy Fate, appreciate you tuning in. Isn't there a decent chance Rodgers bounces back with another year of recovery and some real coaching? Here's the thing. I don't think he could take any more hits, really. I think he's one hit away from collapsing on the field. I just think he's too old. He's basically gonna turn 42 next season. And what coach other than potentially Mike Vrabel is going to want Aaron Rodgers back next season? I don't even know if Vrabel would want Rodgers back next season. Maybe because they have a prior relationship. But I don't know why a head coach would want Mike Vrabel back next season. I don't know why a head coach, would want Aaron Rodgers back next season. I want Mike Vrabel. I don't know why a head coach would want Aaron Rodgers back next season. Why? There are better options out there. I could see. I think head coaches would rather run with Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields over Aaron Rodgers at this point in their careers. I think that's where it is. Tony Perkis tuning in on Twitter. I appreciate you tuning in. Connor, top 3 Jets players on this roster that we must keep. I'm assuming you're going with free agents here. Number 1, Jamie and Sherwood, after the leap that he's took this season. Bring him back on a nice 3 to 4 year deal. But again, I think a lot of it kind of depends on the scheme. So if you're going to get a coach who kind of fits the scheme that Jamie and Sherwood is able to play in, I think you 1,000% bring Jamie and Sherwood back next season. Another one is Brendan Eccles. He's had a nice year this season. DJ Reed is obviously a free agent. He's been pretty vocal. He's 1,000% going to walk this offseason, kind of give him a chance to compete for the cornerback 2 job. So I'm going to go Jamie and Sherwood, Brendan Eccles. I'm trying to think of a third free agent I would really like to have back. I'll go Morgan Moses. His contract's expiring. He's really been the Iron Man of this roster, playing through injuries, but I want him back as a backup. I don't want him in a starting role next season. I'd love to potentially, a right tackle to watch in the draft is Gary Zebel in the second or 3rd round. He's an interesting name to watch. But yeah, so I'm going to go Jamie and Sherwood, Brendan Eccles, and Morgan Moses as a backup. Those are the 3 free agents I would like back this season. See, Barney Miller, 2 great points. Kind of number one, no more rookie starters. As Jet fans, we get more addicted when we lose. Let's change that. For sure, we need a culture change here, Barney Miller. Cultural overhaul. Bring in Mike Vrabel, who knows what it's like to win. Bring in Brian Flores, who knows what it's like to win. And bring in someone who's able to, that's why I like Kingsbury. You said no more rookie quarterback starters. You draft a guy in this year's draft that could be appealing to a guy like Kingsbury. You have a bridge option in Tyrod Taylor or Justin Fields, and then you have a guy like Kingsbury who's worked with so many quarterbacks grooming that franchise guy. I think it's a great option. Mercy, it's not like he's played terrible even under these terrible circumstances. His accuracy has not been great this season, for sure. Not at all. His accuracy has been terrible. I mean, you guess from a yards and touchdowns standpoint, but he also has the third or fourth most attempts in the league. So his numbers are going to be there, and he still has weapons around him. Like, let's not act like he has no offensive weapons whatsoever. He still has weapons around him. Let's see. Thank you, DB. Someone agrees with me here in the chat. Tyrod over Rodgers is a hot take, but to me, I get it. Jet fans are tired of losing. Why not? Rodgers couldn't deliver anything this season. And yes, it's not all on Rodgers. I get that. I'm not the one who's going to sit here and fully blame Aaron Rodgers. But definitely there's blame that falls on him, for sure. No doubt about it. Wildwave fans are going to be disappointed in the offseason. It's going to be a complete cultural overhaul the more I look at the cap. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect any huge free agent signings. I don't expect them to make any big splashes like they did last year. Oh, Tyron Smith, Mike Williams, all these big names. I think I think the headline of the offseason is really going to be the head coach and GM hire. And then maybe you make a few nice moves, and then I think they're going to really rely on the draft. That's what it is. Charles, you taking calls today? Yeah, pin link in the chat if you want to call on anyone. Appreciate the support. For sure, Rick, and it's a great comment. I wanted to bring this up. There will be a void in the YouTube space without your calls, Alan. Yeah, Alan unfortunately has to leave Jets content because of a job opportunity starting Sunday. Yeah, Alan, I know we were talking in Nick Shine's chat. Just email me. I would love to have you on tomorrow for a farewell show. So I'll throw my email in the chat again. Shoot me an email, and we'll get you on tomorrow so we could do a farewell Alan show. Let me know when you're available. Just shoot me an email, and we'll get you on for sure. Appreciate all of your support. Someone who's been with me since day one, really, of doing this content stuff. So it means a lot to me, Alan. Appreciate your support. Barney, I'd only be for getting Fields if he stops GW for asking for a trade, but you can't promise him the starting position. He should compete with Tyrod. Yeah, I want him to compete with Tyrod Taylor for the job. Ultimately, in a camp battle, I think he could. I think he would beat out Tyrod, but still, I want it to be an open competition in training camp. I think that's the ideal scenario right now. Fields was Garrett's college quarterback. He was Garrett's college quarterback, so they have that relationship there. I think that would kind of help Fields Garrett out there for sure. I would love Fields too, and I think we do great things with Garrett overall and the rest of the offense. Let's see. Do we have anything else? Anyone get your final thoughts in the chat. Here we go. Barney Miller. Last question. Bottom 5 head coach candidates. Which coach hires would I don't see, but bottom 5 head coach candidates. Rex Ryan. I'm not gonna put Jeff Ulbrich there, even though he's interviewing. Rex Ryan, Steve Spagnuolo, Anthony Weaver, the Dolphins DC were interviewed for a job a year or two ago. That's 3. I'll throw 3. This is actually tougher than I thought. Clint Kubiak, the younger Saints offensive coordinator who's getting some buzz. Gary Kubiak's kid. That's 4. Let me think of one more. This is tough. 5. I have 4 there. I guess I could throw Ulbrich in there, but I'm trying to think of a more outside of the box name who's like there's still rumblings about, but I want nothing to do with him. This is tough. I'll throw Ben Johnson in there. I don't want Ben Johnson. I wouldn't say he's the worst, one of the worst options, but I don't want Ben Johnson. I don't. Whatever. So like Ben Johnson or Jeff Ulbrich, and then those 4 guys. Carly, are you doing anything fun this weekend? No, not really. I'm just hanging out, watching the Jets on Sunday. Obviously doing some shows. No special plans over the weekend. Not at all. Addison tuning in. Appreciate your support. Appreciate you tuning in the chat. Great stuff as always, my guy. Let's see. Anything else? Get your final thoughts here in the chat. Here we go. Rick Kent, Connor, do you hear any rumblings about Travis? Will he ever be healthy enough to take the field or at least practice? So Jeff Ulbrich has gone out and said a few things regarding Travis. So his rehab process hasn't been going as planned. Like, he's behind supposedly from a rehab standpoint. And Samini said he's gotten so frustrated he only goes to the facility part-time, just how long it's taken him to rehab. I think he'll be ready by OTAs, and he'll be able to compete during training camp and play in the preseason. Like I said, I don't think we can expect anything out of him. I think that's the mentality. You have to go in really not have any expectations, and anything you get from him is a bonus. I think that's the ideal scenario right now. Let's see. Anything else? So you get your final thoughts in the chat. I don't think Ben has the skin for NY. Yeah, the strict interview things he made kind of really rubbed me the wrong way for someone who's never had a head coaching job in his life, going ahead and making these insane, requests for what he wants in a job. I wouldn't call them insane, but I just think it's a little much for someone who's an unproven head coach. And he better turn out to be Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay, or he's going to get clowned forever for those comments he made. Let's see, Rick Kent, who's Addison in the chat? R. Sabo. Talking about Robbie Sabo. Is Robbie in the chat? I don't see him. I don't think Robbie's in the chat. Let me know. I don't get the joke here, Rick. Let me know, and hopefully, I'm sure I'll understand it. Let me know, Rick. Let's see. Chris, back to school Monday. Yeah, I'm going back to school on Monday after a 2-week break we had. So yeah, back to school Monday. Oh, here we go. Yeah, he said that on Jake's show. Oh, he said, who's Addison in the chat? I didn't catch that. Good way to mix it in here, Rick. Appreciate your support. Appreciate all the memberships you gifted. Mercy Fate, what are some of your favorite movies over the past year or so? I don't know. I kind of talk about. I kind of watch the same movies. I like Home Alone. I like Happy Gilmore. I like a lot of Adam Sandler movies. I like Grown Ups. It's probably my top movies. I'm not a big movie guy though overall. I was chatting on Jake's show about Bobby and Robbie Sabo. Jake, who is this Addison in the chat? Oh, that's funny. Robbie's a great dude. He's an awesome guy, for sure. All right, I appreciate you all tuning in. Get your final questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. Get your final memberships, too, because I'm about to go ahead and gift all the memberships I owe you guys. So let me know. Get your final thoughts in. Get your final thoughts in here, and then I will gift the memberships. Final chance to gift the memberships. Final chance to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and get your final Jet-related questions in the chat here before we wrap this show up. We've been doing the longer shows recently, which I like. It was about an hour. Normally shows are 15 to 30 minutes. I like that we're kind of expanding the length, and then it's Jets talk too the majority of the time, which is awesome. Barney, you're old enough, got to start watching. I haven't heard of that movie, I'm going to be completely honest, but I'll go look it up after for sure. Johnny Corley, what are we doing with him this last game? Yeah, I think he should be active for sure. The final games of the season. I don't disagree whatsoever. It's the final game. Like, get him involved. I think that Texans, error, that unforced mistake was really dug him into a hole from the coaches being like. I think there has to be something. There's an attitude issue, I think. And, Todd Downing, he said it, he has to mature or something, that he's learning a hard lesson, I think was one of the quotes that Downing used. So he has to get involved. And my concern is I don't think the Jets really have a package for him. He's more of a gadget, wide receiver that they can utilize on jet sweeps. Like, he's an interesting receiver from like a skill set standpoint. And then I see Rick say, will Corley be active Sunday? Like I said, I gotta hope. You gotta hope he is. Gotta hope he is. Why shouldn't he? Why should Malachi Corley not be active? He should have been active every single game after they were eliminated from playoff contention. 1,000%. There's no excuse for that. Carly Connor, if you had to change the Jets colors, what would you make them? If I had to change the Jets colors, I gotta go with my other favorite set of colors that Mets wear. I gotta go orange and blue. If I had to change the Jets colors, I'd make them orange and blue, just like the Mets. Just like the Mets, for sure. Mike D's Nets kind of on PlayStation. Yeah, I was just talking about that. I'm on PlayStation. There were some PlayStation questions in there, for sure. Guys, Spencer Harris tuning in. Spencer, I answered your mailbag question earlier on. Wind back a little if you want to see my answer to your question. Where will we pick in the draft? What number? So the Jets can get as high as 2. It's not going to happen. Ultimately, I say they finish between 4 and 6 right now. I'm going to just triple check, but I think they have the 7th overall pick in the draft. Yep, 7th overall pick right now. They can get as high as 2 and as low as 10. Depending if they win or lose this week. So that's where it stands. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, that's what I said. I think it has to be some sort of attitude reason. Corley must have it has to be some sort of attitude reason. Everyone, appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Now, this is real. Final thoughts, anything you guys want to get in, get your final memberships in. So I'm about to gift the memberships that I owe you guys because you guys are the best. All these memberships. Rick and Mike D's Nuts, hit me up off air and I will get you the free merch item of your choice. Means a lot that you guys went ahead and gifted 10 memberships today. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead. All right, I'm going to start dropping them now. 45 memberships I owe you. Let's see, there's 5. Go ahead and try to read all 45 names. There's 10. Let's see, stand by, everyone. There's 30. There's 40. Last one. 45. Boom. There we go. 45 memberships have been dropped in the chat. I appreciate all. Sorry, I was muted there for some reason. Like I was saying, I appreciate all of your support here on the show. Let me go ahead and read all those names. A lot of names to read. Our guy, Project Prospect with Dom C. DLB, One Jets Arm. Mazel Tov, Big T Charlie. Motivational Means Media. Jerry Moore, JC Jets, Cool Keith. Nick Kramer, Dre Day, the Jets fan. Rookie New York, Sullyman Ba. JK Primetime, Nathan Shells, Danny Alford, JD, Rob V, and Zach. Hep, Armand, Basho, our guy Rich, Yaneli Watson, Sonny Miller, Michael Spytek, Nick T, Oma Gual, MJ from Jax. Train OP, JD Jets, Michael Palmero, Raymond T, Hater, where did I leave off now? I lost it. Where were we? Hater Ali, Will Sater, Ray Jet, Tombo, Neil, Peter, Let's Go Mets and Basketball and Jets and Islanders, Lefty Segment, Matthias, Mike V, Taz Tactics, TC. I think that's it. I think that is where we are. I think we left off there. 45 memberships, all because of you guys. That means a lot. I appreciate your support, and you guys are the reason I'm able to do all of this. So it means a lot that you guys are supporting the channel every single day. Get your final thoughts and questions, comments, Jets related. We're about to wind this show down. 1 hour and 4 minutes. Wow. I appreciate all of your support on the show. It really means a lot. Great show today overall. I think we basically kind of hit on everything. Good to see that you guys are kind of still engaging with us in the chats, despite what I think we pretty much tackled a lot of things regarding the head coach and general manager search, which I think is great. We will be back. We'll try to do 2 shows tomorrow. I'll try to get out 2 shows tomorrow. Then Sunday we have the pre and post game. Rick, I appreciate it. Appreciate all the gift memberships. Appreciate you tuning in. DM me. We'll get you the free merch item. I really appreciate all you guys. I mean, I can't thank enough Barney Connor for GM. That means a lot, Barney. Appreciate all of your support in the chat. It really means a lot. Stack, Connor kicking some butts. I appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate all of your support. As always, everyone, smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That'll do it for me. I am your host, Connor Long, signing off. JTS Jets, Jets, Jets.